Welcome to r/JustNoHOA, where people tell stories about their crazy homeowner associations. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. Our HOA was mad at us for someone else destroying public property. I live with my parents as I am in high school, and we live in a recent development on the far side of town with a bunch of other developments. We happen to get the model house for our neighborhood, so naturally it is in very good condition. And our HOA really cares about our front yard and is super sensitive about it. So one day I came home to the stop sign in front of our house bent over and the rocks from the thing it was in scattered everywhere. Apparently someone ran into it. The next day I get the mail and a letter from our HOA is there, and they only send us stuff if we are doing something wrong. So I open it. My parents let me open that stuff to see how serious it is and see that they are mad at us for the rocks being on the sidewalk and our driveway. We clean it up, of course. Then someone runs into the sign again and rocks, of course, are everywhere, and we get another letter. But this time we don't clean it up because technically the sign and most of the rocks are past our property line. Day after day we kept getting letters until they finally cleaned it up themselves. Because a few rocks on the sidewalk dramatically reduces property value. This is just some of the craziness from Story Rock, so you will be seeing some more soon. I guess on the one hand it's kind of positive that the HOA is so concerned about property value, but they seem to jump to conclusions very quickly even without any evidence. Stuff is about to happen in our HOA. Our HOA is trying to raise dues and raise money for a new fence on either side of our subdivision. They are already being built. Our HOA president has the social skills of a well-worn tree stump, generally nasty and condescending. The funds have been mismanaged for years. People are fed up. Here's the text from a very well written Nextdoor post from about an hour ago. This is going to get nasty. The current president's term ends in December 2019. As a long-standing homeowner in XXX for 14 years, I feel the recent changes being made on our behalf may not have been in all our best interest or the most cost-effective way to resolve the issues at hand. If you feel it's time for a change in the board, now is our chance to make that change. I feel it is time to find a president with tenacity, compassion, kindness, vision, promotes unity, effective communication skills, good character, and most of all courage and integrity. If you would like to be that candidate or would like to nominate a candidate, please let me know. Heating up the popcorn now. Edit number 2. Oh man, it has started. The first reply was a resident asking the OP on Nextdoor to run for office. Then the current president's wife, first lady of the subdivision, jumped in and started throwing haymakers right out of the gate. My husband works his ass off. Asking if people have attended meetings, she has a point there, I admit to not attending as many as I should, etc. Now a soldier is firing back that he works 2 jobs outside of his military commitment and cannot attend. And the OP is now getting back into it. I will update as more gets posted. Edit number 3, so the OP has now committed to going to all meetings until the end of time and to getting on the board in 2019. A lot more he said, she said, and the president saying that people should read his notes and minutes to get the real info sounds legit. The soldier keeps writing in ridiculously long run-on sentences. Edit number 4, one of the run-on replies, I did not move here because I wanted to find friends, so I moved here with no intention of even caring about HOA, but spending $800 of my dollars caught my eye. If you don't mind someone just spending your money like that, well, pay my part please, I won't be mad. Well guys, and that is exactly how you step up against tyrants, so props to the people in the story. And by the way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you very much. Furthermore, I'm curious, how involved are you guys in your community? Are you part of any clubs or maybe even HOAs? Let us know in the comments. Condo that did not allow kids to play outside must rescind rule, pay tenants $800,000. Families in LA have scored a huge legal victory after they sued their condo complex because it would not let their kids play outside. For years, kids were not allowed to play outside in the gated complex home to dozens of families. The Homeowners Association, Silvertree HOA, had set up the rules, but now an $800,000 settlement is forcing management to pay up. Things got so bad for one homeowner in the complex, she decided to move her family to another city. It was rough, it was a lot of harassment, it was a lot of limitations for them not having a place to go and play, said plaintiff Sarah Wood. Wood said her two children, 7 and 10, were born and raised in their LA home. She said notices were sent to all residents forbidding children under 14 from doing any sports activities, bike riding, playing outside, or skateboarding. The HOA said they were worried about everyone's safety within the community. The notices warned of fines. Wood says she received many fake threats and warnings from the Silvertree board members. Harassment, filming, video recording my kids, taking pictures of my kids, she said. The $800,000 settlement in the class action lawsuit was brought by pro bono counsel. Each member of a family will receive about $2,300. The housing advocacy nonprofit called Project Sentinel investigated the case. We felt that it was fairly clear discrimination when families with children were told you gotta keep your children inside, said the nonprofit's executive director, Ann Margard. They won't be treated or regarded as everyone else. When the Wood family petitioned to change the rules, they say they were threatened with more fines. The settlement now requires the Homeowners Association to rescind the rules. As part of the settlement, the Silvertree HOA must also post signs letting residents know that children can play outside and provide fair housing training for all board members. In addition, the settlement called for 2 members of the Silvertree HOA board to resign. Honestly, these super petty rules sound more like a dictatorship than a homeowner association that, in general, is supposed to help you and not threaten and fine you all the time. Fishing in the HOA-owned pond. Recently, a member of our oh so wonderful HOA board decided fishing is a cardinal sin. I have fished in the retainer pond in our community dozens of times over the past 5 years. We are original members to the community. No one has ever complained and people have regularly fished the pond with no issues. Out of nowhere, a no fishing sign popped up at the front of the neighborhood roughly 1 year ago. A few weeks ago, I was fishing and a woman approached me. She informed me that she was on the board for the HOA and that fishing is not allowed. I told her I had lived in the neighborhood since it was built and no one had ever informed anyone about this rule or much less enforced it if it even existed. She claimed that the board had just voted it in unanimously and that it applies to everyone, resident or not. I asked to see proof of the rule being enacted and she refused, telling me that it is my responsibility as a resident to know the rules. I told her that we pay our HOA dues, so I will fish until I am shown that I cannot. I got met with the classic, "You have X minutes to leave before we fine you and call the police." She also added that it will be an X amount of dollars fine every time that she sees me fishing, regardless if she tells me to stop or not. I ended up leaving because I did not want to waste a police officer's time by making them respond to something so stupid. I let the situation go until I watched her try to run off a neighborhood couple and their children. We intervened and told them that she has no right to tell them to leave the common area, there was rules against it, and to fish on. The lady lost her shit and threatened us and the other couple with fines out of the ass. We have yet to be fined, but I'm fed up with this lady harassing our neighborhood and overstepping her boundaries. It needs to stop. I contacted the lawyer who incorporated our HOA and obtained the most recent CC&Rs. The relevant information I found is as follows, along with some other info. The retention pond and the area around it is HOA owned and it is defined in the CC&Rs as common property dedicated to the neighborhood's homeowners and their invitees. CC&Rs state this common property includes the parts of people's yards that are on the edge of the pond and are maintained by the lawn care service the HOA pays to tend to the common area. She claimed that part of the reason we could not fish is because we were on private property. According to the above statements, we were not. Nowhere in the CC&Rs does it mention anything about fishing in the pond being restricted. the lawyer said that the document is the most recent version and that it had only been amended once. The amendment did not pertain to fishing like the lady claims the vote did. We have asked multiple residents and no one has ever been informed about a vote on the matter. No one recalls it being brought up in a HOA meeting and no one has ever received mail stating that the rules had been amended. Residents have continued to be harassed since the two above incidents. The only people that are running residents out of the area are the 4 members of the board. May not be relevant, but coincidentally, 2 of the board members are violating rules I found in the CC&Rs. One keeps his boat on the street regularly and the other has a garden that is visible from the street. I think both of the rules are ridiculous and should not exist, but it just shows you how hypocritical these people are. I want to do something to stop the board from harassing the residents of the neighborhood. I don't care personally about the fines, threats, etc. because I know they hold no weight. I do care, however, about the wonderful people that live in my neighborhood that are getting shit on by the power-hungry clique. With the facts presented above, what actions can I take to get these people to mind their own damn business and stop threatening people? If they have not actually fined anyone yet, do we have to just suck it up and listen to them complain every time we go out there? Any advice on how to handle the situation would be much appreciated. Honestly, with all these insane rules, it sounds to me like this HOA in particular wants to drive as many people as possible out of the neighborhood for whatever reason. If you have any idea on what OP could do, please let us know in the comments. Board takes out a loan and does not tell anyone. For the last 10 years there have been substantial water leaks all throughout the property. We are talking leaks in excess of 10,000 gallons a day. The association would fix one leak and another would start. Basically, the entire water system needs to be replaced, which is something the association is liable for. For the past 3 years, the person in charge of the water lines has been asking us to approve an assessment to redo the system and it never passes. A dues increase passed that takes effect February 2020, so the owners are not going to agree to pay another $500 to $1,000 on top of that. In August, the association received a notice from the water department that all of the leaks had to be repaired, otherwise the water would get off to the entire property and it had to be done by a licensed company plus pass inspection by code enforcement. Now the association did not have the funds to start this project, let alone complete it. Our bylaws state that the board cannot take out any loans or cause any indebtedness for the association without 2/3 of approval of the members voting, which had to be at least 10% of the owners. While a vote to take out a loan would probably pass in this situation, it would also shine a light on the mismanagement of funds which the board is desperate to keep hidden. The solution was to take out loan against the property in the name of the association and just not include it on the financial statements. Nothing shady or illegal here. One last thing, remember they were supposed to use a licensed contractor? Of course they are not. The next big board meeting is in April and usually there are a couple hundred people there. I figure this will all blow up then. Edit to clarify, I was trying to keep it simple and just talk about this specific incident, but I should clarify a few things. The majority of the owners say they don't want to get involved and just want to enjoy their lot, so they ignore the issues the association faces. Also, they don't go to meetings and only vote when it affects their wallets. While this does not absolve them of responsibility to ensure they are informed about their association, the reason they don't want to be involved is because if you stand up to the board, you put a target on your back and you will be harassed, threatened and property vandalized, etc. A couple of us actually sued the association and board members over their failure of fiduciary duties. The harassment that was incited by the board both at public meetings and in private and other issues. It was scary. We literally had people threatening us, property damaged, our safety was in question at times and we were followed and harassed several times. It was a scary and crazy situation. The association operates as if it is its own country and outside laws do not apply. I will write a post about it sometime soon. In any case, the assessment does not pass because there are so many issues that it is likely the state will step in to dissolve the board and assign a receiver. They will also have to file bankruptcy and reorganize or possibly dissolve the entire association. Taking out the loan will just hasten that because it was illegal. The majority of board members have been corrupt, and the ones that won't play the game resign within months and sell, though some do try, but they are outvoted. On the other hand, the owners don't get involved or blindly believe what the board says, so they are just as responsible for the situation. There are owners who legitimately don't know what is going on because they have just bought or genuinely believe what the board tells them, and those are the people I feel bad for and who don't deserve the mess waiting to happen. I gotta admit, that was probably one of the most messy HOA stories, both in terms of the actual story, which was insane, but also the writing. And just as the OP said, sometimes when we read these HOA stories, it feels like the HOA is sort of like a microcosm with its own rules, which obviously results in people being on crazy power trips. And the next story was posted on our own subreddit by user kittypup and is titled "My FU I Quit Story." I know this is long, but it is my account of events that took place over many years. I will try to make the backstory as short as possible. For almost a decade, I worked for a print shop that was a family business. When the owner of the company hired me, he talked me into quitting college and working full time. He told me that I would advance much more quickly with actual experience instead of schooling. I fell for it because I was trying to feed 2 kids and pay my rent. I started out in the pre-press department, setting up film and making plates for the presses. As time went on, my co-worker in my department had a heart bypass and could no longer work. I was on my own trying to keep up with 5 presses. During this time, they added an 8-color press that prints 4 colors on one side, automatically flips the paper and prints 4 colors on the back side. I was left twisting in the wind to figure out the setup all by myself in order to please both the press and the bindery, the department that assembles books and magazines, and I got no raise in pay during that time. The cast of the story is FO, father of the family and owner of the business, SM, son, my direct manager and Bible-thumping Jesus freak, and CW, nice co-worker. After a while, they added a new application in the computer department that, again, I was left to figure out on my own. It was complicated. Around that time, SM told me that he was appointing me head of the film department, and not only did I not get a raise, it was forced on me. When I asked if he would be informing these 3 guys that I was their manager, he said, "No, you will have to work out that relationship on your own." Not sure, but I think it was his religious beliefs that stopped him from telling men that their manager is a woman. The result of that was me being forced to take responsibility for everyone's mistakes. He would berate me in front of everyone, but any of the men got taken to a conference room to get chewed out. SM never believed anything I said. He would believe my subordinates over me. Most of them were whiny little girls trying to get out of work. They went to him and accused me of dumping my crap work on them and not teaching them the program that I was still struggling to learn and trying to teach some of the computer department people. Part of my job is delegating to my department so that everyone had something to do, and the presses would not run out of plates. That was what I was trying to do, but I don't really know where the line is between delegating and pushing work off on people. I genuinely needed help keeping the wheels turning. While I set up jobs on this complicated freaking app, I needed someone to do the jobs that needed no hand-holding. Of course, this butt chewing was done in front of everyone. There were 2 incidents that marked the beginning of the end. First, I began having terrible stomach pain and vomiting. I did not miss work for it, but at one point, SM had to drive me to the hospital during my shift. He did take me to the conference room for this talk, and you will understand why soon. SM had been trying to get me to go to his church, but I tried to avoid the subject because I am of a different religion. He sat me down to tell me that if I would go to his church, then I would learn to pray properly about my health problems. He told me, and I should have reported this to the authorities, that his testicles swelled up and he was able to pray the problem away, and I could do the same with my stomach issues. It turned out that I needed my gallbladder removed. But yes, this man mentioned his testicles in a conversation with a female subordinate. Then came the final public butt chewing. and CW was taught how to check files on the computer and release the film for the plating department to use. I taught him everything he needed to know, but he missed something because he is human. We all got called together in my workspace for me to be berated for this mistake made by someone else. And CW stuck up for me and told SM that it was not my fault. He had been taught properly and he just missed it. SM yelled at him, "Yes, it is her fault," after the crowd dispersed, and CW asked me, "How much are they paying you to take that crap?" I told him and his mouth dropped open. He said that he started at 75 cents more per hour than I was making after almost 10 years and had several raises during his time there. He had the same degree that I was working towards when FO convinced me to leave college to work full time there. What happened to experience trumps school? My morale shot straight through the floor. SM decided to have a talk with me in the conference room about my attitude. He was berating me on several subjects, including a lecture about how the app was not so confusing because he had done the tutorial. Anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together knows that the tutorial is the bare basics of any app, and there's a lot more to it when you get into practical use. I finally said, "SM, should I just go to the house?" He said, "Maybe so, if you cannot fix your attitude." So I stood up and said, "That is all I need to hear," and walked out. He followed me, so I yelled, "You never believe a thing I say about what's going on back there." I'm sure it was heard in the front office because FO came back to my area to see what the yelling was about. SM began to chase me back to my desk where I started packing my stuff. No, you need to give us notice and a resignation letter." I told him, "I will mail you a letter from the house." I gathered my things and then I remembered my car was broken down and I needed a ride home. I called my daddy. He has hated these people for years for making me cry an average of 2 times per week every week. I sobbed into the phone, "Daddy, I quit my job, come get me." He said, "It's about damn time, I'll be right there." I went to sit on the boxes in the front foyer to wait for my ride. This is the best part. FO asked me why I was quitting and I told him that I was sick of taking responsibility for the mistakes of guys who make more money than I do. I also apologized that I could not pray away my health problems like SM did with his swollen testicles. The delicious look on FO's face was of pure horror. He instantly knew the ramifications of that. I went back to pick up my final paycheck and FO told me to have a seat in the conference room and SM would be right with me. I said, "So I have to talk to SM before I get my check?" He said, "No, you don't have to. I will go get it." I still had friends working there and I found out that SM was stuck doing my job and finally realized how much I did. There was a lot of, "How do you do this?" And the answer was, "I don't know. Kitty Pup always took care of that." At one point, a coworker invited me to her house to see her new grandbaby and started telling me that FO and SM would love for me to come in and have a talk. I promptly told her that I would rather sell my own body before I would go back to work for those people. I had another job within about a week. I actually regret not talking to them when I picked up my paycheck to see what they had to say. I would have given them a list of what they would have to do to get me to come back. Pay me more than the people I supervise would be top of the list. Don't talk to me about religion or your testicles. Realize that I have full entitlement to report SM for sexual harassment. Have someone else take responsibility for the film department so I can do what I need to do in digital. I was too angry to talk to them without ending up in jail for assault. Phew, that was one hell of an aggravating story, but thank you very much for posting the story, Kitty Pup. For all the female viewers in my audience, have you guys ever experienced similar crap at your own workplace? Let us know in the comments. And the last story was also posted on our own subreddit by user Mary Jody Bella and is titled "Choosing Beggar Was a Kid." I live in the Northeast US and have family members in Texas. I fly down a few times a year to visit them with connecting flights in Chicago. Every time I pass through that airport, I have a routine of stopping at Auntie Annie's for pretzels. It's almost like my celebrate the start of my vacation treat. I really look forward to eating those dumb pretzels. So the last time I flew through Chicago, I had a long layover, couple of hours. I walked to Auntie Annie's, got a container of hot pretzel nuggets, and then I found my next gate and sat down to read my book and enjoy my snack. A little boy, maybe 3 years old, toddled up and said, "Can I have a pretzel?" I was surprised to see a kid this small wandering alone, and I looked around for a parent. I'm not risking having any interaction with a strange child when I have no idea if he has any food allergies. There was a woman sitting some distance away, her nose in her phone, of course, and she glanced up long enough to say, "Yeah, he can have one." Sadly, she missed the true meaning of my glance. I was not asking if he could have one, I was thinking, are you aware that your child is walking up to total strangers and begging for food? But oh well, I am an adult, I can share. I gave the kid a pretzel, which he appeared to swallow without even chewing, and then he looked at me and said, "Can I have a pretzel?" And with this greedy kid, unfortunately, we have to end this episode. But I hope you enjoyed today's content, and in case you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing so our community can grow. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I see you again tomorrow.